In May 2011, a mysterious channel by the name of Ivan0135 would release a series of 4 videos on YouTube. These 4 videos would show complete proof of alien life. From a UFO flying in the sky to multiple aliens who can even be seen interacting with humans. Since then, these videos have been analyzed hundreds of times, but they've been proven true time and time again. This is the story of how we discovered the most realistic alien footage to date. This is the story of Skinny Bob. Now, before we get into the story of these videos, we should first analyze them thoroughly. Instead of going video by video, I have divided them into various scenes, and I'll begin by presenting the scene so you can think about it yourself and then analyze it. Skinny Bob 1, also known as Skinny Bob Sitting, introduces the most famous figure from Ivan0135's channel, a lean, human-like alien dubbed Skinny Bob. This short fragment shows the entity seated with its side partially turned to the camera, moving its head in brief, somewhat jerky motions. Despite the low-resolution video, we can make out some features, such as a large head, elongated limbs, and unusual patches of discoloration on the head. That last detail especially has fueled a lot of debate when it comes to why those patches exist, with theories ranging from it being a normal part of their alien biology to damage because of Bob's spaceship crash landing on Earth. One detail that consistently intrigues observers is the fact that Skinny Bob is sitting on a chair. This could suggest that humans, especially the military, might have tried to accommodate the alien. This is further supported by other clues we see in the video, like how the figure tilts its head at various points, as if reacting to someone else. There's also a uniformed arm or shoulder at the very far edge of the frame. Looking at this in combination with some of the other videos we will look at later, the likely conclusion is that the military found the crashed ship, did an autopsy on the alien that died, and took the other alien, who we know as Skinny Bob, into custody. That's when the clip we see on screen was taken. But that wasn't the end of things, as we can see clearly in the next clip. Often referred to as Skinny Bob Standing or Skinny Bob 2, this segment provides a much better look at the same alien introduced in the previous clip. Here, Skinny Bob appears to be standing upright, possibly under some form of measurement device like a traditional stadiometer. The camera pans slowly from the torso area upward, eventually showing the alien's blinking eyes and tranquil expression. Based on the footage, we can see subtle facial movements, including eyelids opening and closing. One of the major talking points in this clip is the alien's attire. The outfit seems different from the one featured in Skinny Bob Sitting, leading some to theorize that multiple captures took place at different times or under distinct conditions. Others note that the material's folds, especially a chest crease, are visible, an intriguing detail for an alleged government video from the 1960s. And things get even more mysterious when we look at the clip's famously smooth pan, which might indicate modern digital editing. In an original handheld camera reel, one would typically expect jitter, lens flares, or warping, especially in older film stock. However, both of the Skinny Bob clips have gotten a high amount of attention, and even after looking at them with as much scrutiny as possible, it's tough to decide whether it's legitimate or not. Though Ivan didn't just post about Skinny Bob, he also gave us more information about the UFO. Flying Twin is chronologically the second major scene that we see in the videos uploaded on Ivan's channel, and it gives us a much better look at the UFO we saw before. In this video, the camera itself is airborne, so it's likely that the person recording is piloting a vehicle while filming the unidentified spacecraft. Both the observer's aircraft and the UFO are traveling in sync, which gives us this really clear view of a UFO in action. Unlike normal UFO videos where the craft zooms by, this time around it's going at an extremely slow speed, which means that it might have been observing the surroundings or even observing the aircraft itself. The footage is shaky because of all the movement, but users on Reddit managed to stabilize it so we can learn more about the footage. From the stabilization, we can see that the camera is zoomed in considerably on the UFO. This gives us a better idea of why the screen was shaking so much, and also means that the UFO was maybe unaware that it was being filmed. While some skeptics argue that this video could be easily faked, many people point out that the amount of money it would take to create an illusion like this would not be realistic. Moreover, considering how much the camera is moving, it's likely that at least some part of the footage is real, if not all of it. However, even after extensive analysis, the place where this video was captured still remains unknown, though the mysteries don't end here, as we see in the next scene. The Blue Boys footage is one of the most strange and interesting clips out of all the videos Ivan uploaded on his channel. The name Blue Boys is itself a reference to Project Blue Book's staff, who was nicknamed Little Blue Boys or Blue Boys. Project Blue Book was a US government project that was focused on identifying and observing everything related to UFOs. It ran from 1952 to 1969. Around the same time that Ivan's videos were recorded, making it the best candidate for the true meaning behind Blue Boy. It's here we finally see the dead alien I talked about earlier. It died on impact of the crash. In Blue Boys, there are two main scenes. First, we witness a figure, possibly an alien, standing amid debris in a low-resolution black and white environment. This individual seems to be near what some interpret as a crashed saucer. The second scene more clearly shows the wreckage of a disc-like object on the ground, which we can clearly see to be smoking or smoldering. We can also see a figure on the ground that's moving slightly, with its head rolling and its hand twitching. However, this figure, who is likely a gray alien, is heavily injured and doesn't survive. After more investigation, people found a lot more details hiding in the video, such as footprints near the body and realistic texturing of the crashed craft. Closely tied to the Blue Boys clip, Blue Boy Meeting focuses on what many interpret as an alien autopsy or post-retrieval examination. In the footage, we see what appears to be an elongated body, which is likely the same being we saw before in the crash clip. This gray alien is laid out in a hospital-like environment, and the condition of the body suggests that it's dead, or at least incapacitated. When researchers slowed down and stabilized the footage, they saw some medical instruments in the background, including a table with a cloth. Some people claim they can discern faint outlines of personnel attending to the figure, but we can't say for sure considering how grainy the footage is. An important thing to note is that the monochrome color palette matches the typical 1940s and 1950s look, though some skeptics argue that this could be easily replicated with digital filters. But while here we only get a glimpse of the alien, we get a much better look at the alien in the next clip. Concluding Ivan 0135's series is Family Vacation, the only color footage among these alleged alien encounters. Dated by Ivan to 1961, it shows a secret meeting or escort of 3 extraterrestrials on some form of military base or government property. In the brief clip, the aliens walk alongside a concrete wall, with what appears to be human personnel nearby, perhaps guards or official escorts. The colorization, while subdued, shows an important departure from the monochrome look in Ivan's previous uploads, suggesting either a temporal leap like Ivan claimed, or different recording equipment. The name Family Vacation has led to several interpretations. One popular theory references President Eisenhower's rumored secret meeting with extraterrestrials at Edwards Air Force Base under the guise of a dental emergency during his Palm Springs vacation. Others interpret family as referring to the group of 3 aliens traveling together, ironically labeling it a vacation to keep secrecy. Crucially, the footage is shaky and abruptly cuts off. The narrator suggests an incident occurred when one of the aliens caught sight of a hidden camera, leading to an amendment of a supposed 1942 no filming treaty, which might be why Ivan stopped posting videos. And with that, these 6 short clips, being only 4 minutes long in total, managed to change the world and become a crucial part of UFO mysteries. But that still leaves us with the question, are these clips real or fake? We also don't know much about Ivan, other than the fact that he claims to be from Russia and is in his 60s. While he has not been online in over a decade, we can still look at the videos for some ideas about what's going on here. One of the biggest theories is that all of it is true, and Ivan is a whistleblower. In this case, Ivan probably worked with the Russian military, and when he realized that there was proof of alien existence, he uploaded the videos on the internet so the entire world could know the truth. While this theory seems possible on its own, it becomes even more likely when we look at the clips themselves. For example, we can clearly see a lot of visual edits to the clips to lower the footage's resolution and mask identifying features like facility signage, uniforms, and location markers. Like at the start of one of the videos, we see a KGB logo, but the text is hidden by black bars. Moreover, in most of his videos, the timestamps have been partly covered by black bars. The videos themselves are said to be hour-long recordings, out of which Ivan took snippets and shared them with us. By degrading the quality, the leaker would be able to hide any clues that might lead investigators back to them, or to their source. This partial release also reduces the risk of immediate legal or physical retaliation, as the evidence is compelling, but not ironclad. Rather than uploading large, unequivocal files that would unleash global controversy, the theory holds that these short fragments function as test balloons. They give enough detail, autopsies, close-ups of alleged aliens, crash sites, to convince some, but stay ambiguous enough that skeptics can doubt them. This middle ground could protect the leaker from sudden exposure, as well as manage any widespread panic that might arise if the videos were unquestionably real. But while all of this gives a lot of credibility to the idea that the videos are legitimate, maybe the reasons why Ivan posted these videos are different. For example, some people have suggested that instead of it being an act of rebellion against the government, it might be blackmailing that's happening right before our eyes. Imagine that Ivan is a soldier who's worked with the military for years before suddenly finding out that the country he's meant to be protecting is keeping secrets from him. When he found out the truth about the aliens, he got in a lot of trouble. To keep himself safe and outside of harm's reach, he quickly got as much data on the aliens as he could, and then uploaded a few short minutes of it to show the government that if they pressured him too much, he would release the entire data files. That would mean that Ivan is actively threatening or bribing an entire government. But a third theory says that instead of bribing the government, he's actually working with them. When it comes to maintaining power, you need to have control of public perception. If people believe that your party isn't doing anything good, then your chances of re-election go all the way down. Conspiracy theories like this one and the Area 51 raid that happened a few years ago all cause distrust when it comes to the government. However, at the same time, it also helps keep people engaged. If someone who already distrusts the government spends all their time at home researching about a case like this, then they won't go out of the house and cause chaos. This way, the government can deal with people who would otherwise be extremely disruptive to society. Moreover, it can help the government get a better idea of how conspiracy theories evolve over time. Lastly, clips like these can help us get a better idea of what aliens look like and help people get used to the idea of living with aliens, making it easier to make the change when it's finally revealed that aliens have been among us for years now. But no matter which theory you believe, we also need to consider that Ivan disappeared. These videos were posted more than a decade ago, and since then, we have had absolutely zero contact with Ivan. Moreover, no one has come forward claiming to be Ivan either. It's like Ivan went to YouTube, posted some of the most realistic alien footage out there, and then disappeared without a single word. So this begs the question, what really happened to Ivan? If we're looking at theory 1 or 2, where Ivan is either a whistleblower or trying to manipulate someone, it's possible that Ivan was found out and killed. For example, just a couple of months ago, Suchir Balaji, an employee at OpenAI, died suddenly after speaking out about the company's practices and copyright violations. Another similar case was the death of Philip Haney, who had worked at the Department of Homeland Security as a national security official for over 15 years when he decided that he couldn't bear to stay quiet anymore. So he became a whistleblower and publicly criticized President Barack Obama's administration. And just a couple of years after this, he was found dead due to a single gunshot wound, which was quickly ruled as a suicide. So, if Ivan was a whistleblower or was trying to blackmail the Russian government, it's likely that he would have been tracked down or killed, especially when it comes to Russia, considering that it's filled with supernatural events. For example, Russia is home to Lake Baikal, which had its own alien incident. In 1982, some divers saw weird alien-like creatures swimming deep in the waters of the lake. These creatures were named the Lake Baikal swimmers, and considering we still haven't fully mapped out the lake, it's possible that they're still hiding deep within the lake. Russia is also famous for multiple UFO sightings, such as the 1977 Petrozavodsk phenomenon and the 1989 Voronezh UFO incident, where a group of children claim to have seen a UFO and aliens. So to sum it up, Ivan is either a whistleblower, a blackmailer, or is working directly with the government. In the third case, it's likely that his job is done and so he's disappeared. In either of the first two theories, the most likely scenario is that he was hunted down and eliminated, especially considering that Russia can dedicate significant resources to finding any possible whistleblowers. While all of this does answer a lot of questions we have about who Ivan is, where he could be now, and whether these videos are even credible, we also need to talk about the many critics of Ivan's actions. A lot of people have pointed out flaws in the videos and claim that they aren't legitimate. They also argue about what is actually shown in the videos. For example, in one of the clips titled Tin Bird, we can see a saucer-like object, but some people believe that it could be a weather balloon or a blimp tethered in position instead. In another clip labeled Blue Boy Meeting, we see an alien autopsy. Many critics have pointed out that it shares a lot of similarities to the infamous Alien Autopsy film of the 1990s. That film, too, followed a similar pattern of minimal audio and historically appropriate sets, which gave the illusion that it was real. So what's to say that the same thing isn't happening here? People claimed that it was fake. Some digital artists can see some of the giveaways, like Bob's blinks occur at a faster frame rate than the video and the rest of the in-frame movement. The generic movement of Bob, the natural movement thing, is always meant to simulate realistic movement, but it always ends up looking fake, especially given the context. Bob's movements were systematic, inappropriate, and overly smooth. Also, if there is a longer video, the following does not apply, but there are a ton of questions left on the table, like why isn't there a full body shot of it walking? Why when it turns its neck, the ring around its neck does not change shape, suggesting Bob is a puppet? Then, the nail in the coffin was that people discovered the exact stock asset overlay used to create the grainy VHS look. They searched asset databases that were available at the time the video was created and found the exact one. So, case closed, right? Well, it's not that simple. There are still many people who believe that Skinny Bob isn't a hoax. Many non-believers argue that it would cost a fortune to fake the video, and since 2011, no individuals have claimed credit for making the video. The link to the channel is in the description, where you can watch all the videos. Moreover, an analysis done on the video showed us some interesting results. The first technique that was used to do that analysis was error level analysis. This technique saves the image at a different compression level and finds discrepancies that could indicate later modification. A lot of CGI shows up as ELA, for example. This scene from Shrek shows up clearly. This is because animators often resave the model multiple times for the final render and make post-processing modifications to the final video. These modifications can be picked up after applying ELA to find later modifications. On the other hand, the ELA for Skinny Bob showed us that there was an extremely low chance that Skinny Bob's image was heavily modified or edited. Moreover, some of the claims that were put up by critics were also disproven, such as the claim that the grain was added later on. The noise pattern is more irregular and indicative of camera noise and real film grain rather than CGI. This does not mean it could not be manipulated to add the grain, but the previous ELA indicates that there was no further manipulation to the video. The final filter that can be applied is a luminescence gradient to determine if the lighting seems accurate. So we're back to square one. It's like the more you dig into Skinny Bob, the more questions you're left with. But whether you believe that Skinny Bob is an actual alien or just CGI, it's safe to say that this might be some of the most realistic alien footage of all time. But if you don't believe this story or still have doubts, then maybe this story of how an entire school in Africa saw an alien ship and interacted with it will change your mind.